Hey everyone, welcome back to our Week 4 review and our Week 5 NFL picks. As you can see, this week we did not do so good. We went 4 of 10. Sorry for traffic, I'm recording this when it's lunchtime, so everybody's driving around town. But Thursday night, I picked Matt Stafford and the Rams to hold it down at home against the Niners, and they did not do so good. Based on the crowd, it looked like a Niners home game. Brock Purdy was out once again. Mac Jones was 33 of 49 for 342 yards and 2 touchdowns. McCaffrey had 22 carries for 57 yards. Kendrick Bourne had 10 catches for 142 yards, no touchdowns. McCaffrey and Tongs both had a receiving touchdown. Stafford was 30 of 47 for 389 yards and 3 touchdowns, no picks. Kyren Williams had 14 carries for 65 yards, no touchdowns on the ground. Devontae Adams had 5 catches for 88 yards. Puka had a receiving touchdown, and Kyren Williams had the other 2 receiving touchdowns. Minnesota at Cleveland, which took place in London. We chose the Browns because before that day, we beat the Browns and the Packers lost to them, so I was hoping Minnesota would lose as well, and we'd be the only ones from our division to beat them, but that's all right. Minnesota goes to London, takes care of business, 21-17. Carson Wentz was 25 of 34 for 236 yards and 1 touchdown. Cam Akers threw 1 pass for 32 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Mason had 13 carries for 52 yards and a touchdown. Justin Jefferson had 7 catches for 123 yards. Jordan Addison and Josh Oliver had the 2 receiving touchdowns. Remember, Joe Flacco got benched after last week, so Dylan Gabriel got the start, and he actually didn't look too terrible. Looked like a rookie, He was 19 of 33 for 190 yards and 2 touchdowns. Quinshon Judkins had 23 carries for 110 yards, no touchdowns on the ground. David Njoku had 6 catches for 67 yards and a touchdown. And Harold Fannin Jr. had the other receiving touchdown. Cowboys at the Jets. We picked the Jets to get their first win, and they did not. And I think they are the only winless team so far. Final score 37-22. Dak was 18 of 29 for 237 yards and 4 touchdowns, no picks. Javonte Williams had 16 carries for 135 yards and a touchdown. Ryan Flournoy had 6 catches for 114 yards. Pickens, Ferguson, and Javonte Williams had the receiving touchdowns. Justin Fields was 32 of 46 for 283 yards and 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall had 14 carries for 113 yards and no touchdowns. Garrett Wilson had 6 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown, and Andrew Beck was the other guy with the receiving touchdown. Denver at Philly. I thought Philly would take care of business, even though Denver's got a really good defense. But Denver ended up giving Philly its first loss of the season, 21-17. It kind of seems like Philly's starting to regress a little bit, get figured out. Bo Nix was 24 of 39 for 242 and a touchdown. J.K. Dobbins had 20 carries for 79 yards and a touchdown. Courtland Sutton had 8 catches for 99 yards. Evan Ingram had the only receiving touchdown. Jalen Hurts was 23 of 38 for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns. Saquon had 6 carries for 30 yards. Devontae Smith had 8 catches for 114 yards. Saquon Vaughn and Dallas Goedert were the only ones with the receiving touchdowns. Houston at Baltimore. I figured Baltimore would get back on track, but I've been saying that for a couple weeks now, and it's just not happening. Don't know what's going on over there. But they got absolutely destroyed. Granted, Lamar is hurt, along with a lot of their Pro Bowl players, but that's not an excuse. CJ Stroud was 23 of 27 for 244 yards and 4 touchdowns. Nick Chubb had 11 carries for 61 yards and a touchdown. Christian Kirk had 4 catches for 64 yards, no touchdown. Nico Collins, Xavier Hutchinson, and Jalen Noel had the 4 receiving touchdowns. Cooper Rush was 14 of 20 for 179 yards and 3 picks. Derrick Henry had 15 carries for 33 yards and their only touchdown. Zay Flowers had 5 catches for 72 yards. Vegas at Indy. I don't know what's in the water over there, but them boys are ballin'. Our first correct choice. 40-6. I don't know what's going on with Geno Smith, but he does not look all right. He went 25 of 36 for 228 yards and 2 interceptions. Ashton Genty had 14 carries for 67 yards. Trey Tucker had 4 catches for 62 yards. No touchdowns. Woody from Toy Story went 20 of 29 for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor had 17 carries for 66 yards and 3 touchdowns. Amir Abdullah also had a touchdown on the ground. Ashton Doolin had 2 catches for 55 yards. Tyler Warren and Michael Pittman Jr. had the 2 receiving touchdowns. Miami at Carolina. I didn't think Carolina had it in them to win another game. And how wrong we were. I feel like Mike McDaniel's seat is starting to get a little bit hotter. Tua turned the ball over, did not turn the ball over. He was 27 of 36 for 256 yards and 3 touchdowns. Devon Achane had 10 carries for 16 yards. Absolute abysmal ground game. Jalen Waddle had 6 catches for 110 yards and a touchdown. Darren Waller and Achane had the other 2 receiving touchdowns. Bryce Young was 19 of 30 for 198 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Rico Dowdle had 23 carries on 206 yards, wow, and a touchdown. Tate McMillan had 6 catches for 73 yards. Xavier Legette and Mitchell Evans had the receiving touchdowns. What a come from behind victory. The Giants at the Saints. Saints get their first win of the season for our second correct choice. Jackson Dart was 26 of 40 for 202 yards for 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. Scatabo had 15 carries for 59 yards. Daniel Bellinger had 4 catches for 52 yards. Theo Johnson had both receiving touchdowns. Spencer Rattler was 21 of 31 for 225 and a touchdown. Kendre Miller had 10 carries on 41 yards. Rashid Shaheed had 4 catches for 114 yards and the only receiving touchdown. Wait, then where did the other touchdown come from? Oh, it was a defensive touchdown by Jordan Howden. Okay. Final score 26-14. Tampa at Seattle. We chose Tampa. I feel like it was a lot closer than it should have been. But it was a good battle. Baker was 29 of 33 for 379 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rashad White had 14 carries for 41 yards and 2 touchdowns. Emeka Egbuka had 7 catches for 163 yards and a touchdown. And Sterling Shepard had the other receiving touchdown. Sam Darnold was 28 of 34 for 341 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. Kenny Walker III had 10 carries for 86 yards. Jackson Smith-Njigba had 8 catches for 132 yards and a touchdown. A.J. Barner and Torrey Horton had the other 3 receiving touchdowns. Tennessee at Arizona. I thought Tennessee would still be a dumpster fire, but they were not. I think Arizona had the game in the bag, and they screwed the pooch. But Tennessee gets their first win of the season. Cam Ward was 21 of 39. Cam Ward was 21 of 39 for 265 yards and a pick. Tony Pollard had 14 carries for 67 yards and a touchdown. Calvin Ridley had 5 catches for 131 yards. No touchdowns through the air. Kyler Murray was 23 of 31 for 220 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Amari DiMercado had 3 carries for 81 yards, and I believe he prematurely dropped the ball, crossing the end zone line. Michael Carter, Kyler Murray, and Bam Knight had the 3 touchdowns on the ground. Marvin Harrison Jr. had 4 catches for 98 yards. Cat fight in Ohio. Obviously, I picked my Detroit Lions to beat the Bengals. And it was not as close as the score makes it seem. And we successfully complete the Ohio sweep, because we played the Browns last week and beat them. And then in baseball, the Tigers eliminated the Guardians, which is Cleveland. And now we beat the Bengals 37-24. Goff was 19 of 23 for 258 yards and 3 touchdowns, no picks. And David Montgomery was 1 of 1 for 3 yards for a touchdown. A little trickery. Montgomery had 18 carries for 65 yards and a touchdown. He showed out. I guess he's from Cincinnati, so this was his homecoming. St. Brown had 8 catches for 100 yards. Laporta, Gibbs, Tesla, and Brock Wright had the 4 receiving touchdowns. Jake Browning was 26 of 40 for 251 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 picks. Most of those yards came after it was already a blowout. Jake Browning had 4 rushes for 31 yards. Jamar Chase had 6 catches for 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins had the other touchdown. Washington Commanders at the Chargers. The Chargers been looking good, so I picked them. I don't know what happened to them. Obviously, I can't watch every game. Jaden Daniels, I think this was his first game back, but I don't remember. He was 15 of 26 for 231 yards and a touchdown. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt had 14 carries for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. Debo had 8 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. Herbert was 22 of 29 for 166, 1 touchdown and 1 pick. He was their leading rusher on 4 carries for 60 yards. And Keenan Allen had 5 catches for 58 yards. Ladd McConkey had the only touchdown through the air. Patriots-Bills on Sunday night. I figured Buffalo would handle business easily, but New England gets the upset and hands the Bills their first loss of the season. Drake May was 22 of 30 for 273 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Travion Henderson had 6 carries for 24 yards. Ramondre Stevenson had the only 2 touchdowns on the ground. Stephon Diggs had 10 catches for 146 yards in his return to Buffalo. Josh Allen was 22 of 31 for 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He was also their leading rusher with 9 carries for 53 yards. Dalton Kincaid had 6 catches for 108 yards. Curtis Samuel and Keon Coleman each had a receiving touchdown. Now, probably something we didn't see coming. And I think most of the country put money on Kansas City to beat Jacksonville in Jacksonville. And obviously you can see that they didn't. Mahomes was 29 of 41 for 318 yards for 1 touchdown and 1 interception. And that interception was a 99-yard pick six by a linebacker. He also had 6 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown. Tyquan Thornton had 3 catches for 90 yards. Kelsey had the only receiving touchdown. Trevor Lawrence was 18 of 25 for 221, 1 touchdown and 1 pick. He was their leading rusher with 10 carries for 54 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brian Thomas Jr. had 4 catches for 80 yards. Parker Washington had the only receiving touchdown. So now, let's make the picks for next week. Our overall record, we have a losing record, but keep in mind that first week we were on a different website. Really, if I wanted, I could just go ahead and pick all the games for the rest of the year, but I'm not going to do that. Thursday night, we have Philly at New York. Oh, man. I couldn't imagine what would happen if Philly lost another game, especially to the Giants. But I am going to pick Philly. Denver at the Jets. Oh, this one's overseas because it's 9:30 in the morning for me, which is Eastern time. I think, well, Denver's got a good defense. So I'm going to pick Denver. Sorry, Aaron Glenn. I love you and I want you to do good, but I don't think this is the week you get your win. Arizona at Indy. I think Daniel Jones easily handles business. Maybe Anthony Richardson gets some garbage time. Garbage time playing. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. I feel like these guys just played each other. But I am going to go with Pittsburgh. That's just my gut feeling. Dallas at Carolina. It would be funny if Carolina upset Dallas. But I think Dallas wins this one. The Rams at Baltimore. I don't know how long Lamar's out, or I think Humphrey and they have a couple linemen out. I don't know how long those guys are out, but I think the Rams go into Baltimore and take the dub. The Chargers at the Dolphins. I think the Chargers get back in the win column with this one. Because I think the wheels are starting to fall off there. Even if Tua looks good, nothing else does. New England at New Orleans. I think Drake May goes in there and handles business. Seattle at Jacksonville. Now that should be a good game. The last of the 1 o'clock games. I don't know what to pick. If Jacksonville plays like they did last night, they have a good chance. And I don't know how either of their defenses are. I'm going to go with Seattle. Now for the 4 o'clock games. Tennessee at Las Vegas. I said, I don't know what's going on with Geno. I don't know how their defense is outside of Max Crosby. I also don't know how Tennessee's offensive line is against Max Crosby. My initial feeling is Tennessee wins. The Niners at the Bucks. I think all the injuries are going to catch up to San Francisco this game. And I think Baker holds down his home field. Cincinnati at Green Bay. I don't want to pick for Green Bay at all. I want them to just lose every game, but I know they won't. Maybe those late touchdowns that Cincinnati got against us last week gives them hope. And outside of Micah, well, Green Bay's got a good front seven, but their corners are not that good. Is how I would describe them. Unfortunately, I think Green Bay takes it though. Buffalo at Atlanta. I think Josh Allen goes into Atlanta a little bit upset over that last game, and I think he handles business. Detroit at Kansas City. Kansas City does not look like themselves. I know we're down our top two corners, but I still think we are alright. Even if it's a shootout, I still got us over Kansas City. Sunday night, prime time, I'm taking Detroit. And not because I'm a homer. Yes, it is. Monday night, Chicago at Washington. That could be a fun one. I think Chicago's got a better defense than Washington does. So I think they handle business there. And it's week 6. The Texans and the Vikings are both off this week. So that is our week 5 review and our week 6 picks. Hopefully we do better than 4 and 10 this time. So yeah, thank you so much for watching or listening. I hope you got some well-needed rest and or relaxation. I'm sorry if there's traffic in this one. And I will see you in the next one.